I'm telling you, it's a big W. This one's a big W TV. Actually, it's a Westinghouse. I have not seen one of these ones before. It's an LCD set that was brought in. I'm told it's dead. We're going to take a look at this. Again, I have never seen one built quite like this. Once we get into this, you'll understand. It's not like your conventional LCD set, and it's not your conventional Chinese or Korean set either. This one is completely different. Well, today I have another TV to repair. Why? Because people seem to think I know how to fix TVs. I wonder what would give them that idea. This is a Westinghouse. I don't know who makes this one, but guaranteed it's not Westinghouse. I guess this is a 46 or 47 inch LCD TV. I'm told it's dead. I haven't even plugged it in yet, but I'm told it's dead. So let's just see what happens. Okay, got the remote control here. I see a red light right down there. Oh, what the heck? It turned on. Wow. Isn't that neat? Let's plug a HDMI cable in and see if I get a picture. Well, seems to be working. There's my Blu-ray player I just plugged on here. AVC HD disc. Wow. I wonder if this has got the classic power supply problem. Maybe some caps are going bad in it. When it was brought in to be checked over, the thing starts working. Because I was told it didn't work. I'll plug it into my cable box as well, which is currently not on. We'll just turn it on. Looks like that's working too, no problem. I think my ceiling fan is starting to die. That bearing is getting awful loud. It was quiet when I turned it on today, when I turned on the heat, but it's making a hell of a noise. Among all the other things that are breaking around here, my tripod's also starting to give me trouble. If I don't crank it on real tight, it has a tendency to move on its own. Anyway, I think we'll pull the back off this one and just check the caps and see if there's any popped caps on it that could be causing an intermittent problem. Check this out. What the hell? What, did they have it hanging on a hook? It almost looks like this thing was hanging somewhere. Like they've put a bracket in the back here. I've never seen that done before. That's like picture wire, right? Like someone has hung this thing up from a hook. Oh well, it's kind of heavy for that. This is going to be another fake call for sure, I'm sure. I tell you, it's really quite annoying because someone listed me in Google, and I keep getting these calls from Google wanting me to advertise, and I keep telling them to pound sand. But I also get phone calls from well, that was just a janitorial service wanting for me to meet with a manager to go over my business cleaning requirements. Like I said, you said to the guy, you didn't realize I work from home, right? So no thanks. But I had a call the other day again on my business line for someone looking for a job as an editor, as a video editor, because my company is listed under my video production company is listed, and anyway, I get these calls, people looking for work to be my cameraman or to be my editor, and like you know, I couldn't afford to pay you, right? Like you'd have to be doing it for free because this is work that I do. I do it myself. I don't need someone else to do it for me, and I certainly don't need to pay someone else to do it. So yeah, thanks but no thanks. Anyway, I think the back should come off this one pretty easy. I haven't seen one like this. I'm interested to see what this is all about, because this has got like a protrusion here, which is not the normal for a TV of this vintage. So again, I have never opened up one of these sets. I don't know who made it. I don't think Westinghouse made it, but somebody made it for them, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what chassis this is. So let's get the back off the set. I still don't know any more about who made this set than before. I don't see any markings on here to indicate that it was made by one of the big companies like LG or Samsung or any of the others. The base had to come off in order to take the back off. Then I could mount the base back on it again to stand it up. But I guess now the next thing I got to get into is I got to get into this power supply unit and check out some of the caps in here. I mean, just look at the shielding on all the cables here. It's all wrapped in like a metal braided, like a tape with a metal braid in it, a conductive tape. This is to shield the set. They were really concerned back in these days of televisions causing interference to other devices, and everything is just completely shielded on this unit. Nothing like you see today, where today they're just plastic. There's no shielding whatsoever. But when these digital sets first came out, there was so much concern about interference to radio that they had to put everything in metal boxes. Just to get at the main board to check it out, I gotta disassemble this whole shielded case. Well, it should have just been like a power surge that knocked the set down, and unplugging it fixed it. That's always a possibility. That there's nothing really wrong with the set. It just had a power surge and shut down. That's a lot of work just to get to the power supply on this set. Have to disconnect the LVDS cable and everything else. The power supply looks like it's got another couple screws that hold it in place. And that's as far as I'm going to go on this. Is I'm going to check the power supply. If the caps aren't bulging on this thing, I'm just going to throw this back together and get it out of here. Because I don't think the guy that owns this thing wants to put much into it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this unit here. There's the power supply board here. I guess it will lift out by removing some screws around the edge. I don't see the classic bulging caps in here anywhere. I mean, I can't even get the board all the way out because it's attached multiple places, but none of these caps look to be in bad shape, at least physically. I don't see any bulging caps anywhere on here. So I don't know whether this was just a one-off event where the got a power bump and it shut down. The guy told me it was completely dead, like nothing, no lights, no nothing. I just talked to him. I said, was there any lights? He says, no, like the red light that's normally on the front, it was out. So that's telling me that maybe the standby supply was down. Looking at the standby supply, I told him I plugged it in and it worked. So, of course, he's happy about that, but at this point, I don't know that he wants to spend any money on this set. I might just be further ahead just to throw this together and just give it back and just say, it's working. Because without something obviously faulting, anything I do, I'm just guessing, right? I could test ESR on some of these little caps, maybe some of the little ones down here in the standby supply. Just from the description, it sounds like it could have been a standby type problem. But again, it's just a guess because the set's functional, right? If it was dead and I could physically see something not working, then that's one thing. But in this case, like, it's working. So it's a tough one to try to. It's a tough sell to try to bill somebody for fixing something if you really don't know what you're doing on it because it's not faulting. So sometimes these ones are better just to hand back and say, I plugged it in, I ran it, it seems to be working fine. Maybe I'll run it for a day or two and just let them have it back. It's just, I hate intermittent problems. They're just the hardest things to catch. And in a case like this, it's not worth like spending a lot of money on a TV like this because it's so old. I don't know what year this thing is, but I'm going to guess this is probably, it says made in Taiwan, whoever made this one. C-H-I-M-E-I, Chimie Optotronics is the maker of the panel. Looking at the back here. I don't know, something tells me that doing anything on this set here is going to probably not... Oh, you know, there's a couple connections on this plug that look like they could be cracked. I don't know if that's the fault or not. We'll just look and see if there's any oddball looking connections. That's another thing it could be, is it could have been a bad connection. Oh, what is this? Oh, that's a control. It could be a bad connection and just transporting it cleared it up. There's a few connections on transformers here that look like they might be... I'll show you, get you guys a close-up so you can see what I'm talking about. If we look down here, some of these plugs, the pins don't look to be great. Right around here, see, cracked. So it could be cracked connection on any of these diodes around here or any of the transformers. Maybe we'll go over those connections since I've got it apart. I don't see any obvious capacitors that have the obvious popping tops, which would be an obvious dead giveaway that the cap is bad. And the fact that the set worked when I plugged it in generally tends to lead me to more of not a component failure, but either a solder connection failure, which cleared itself just being jostled around to bring it over, or it just had a power surge and it shut down, and unplugging it reset the power supply and it started back up. Either way, I think that's about all I can do. I'm certainly not going to make any money on this set. You know, from the customer's perspective, I'm certainly not going to make any money on a set like this. But make a couple dollars from you guys watching the video and taking a look at the inside of it. But I will go over some connections on here just in case that's where the fault is, because I think that's about the only thing I can really see looking at it right now, is that there's some connections down here which definitely look like they're cracked, right? Like you can see almost all the way around. Even I think it even shows up on camera. But like this one here and these ones down here, they look cracked. Not just them, but some of these ones over here also don't look to be great. And on the transformer itself, some of the pins here just don't look like they're well soldered down. And if we remember those two plasma sets I had recently that had a capacitor that had come undone, one of those box capacitors had let go on one side and were causing intermittent problems. So like these type of caps right here, I wonder if that one's bad. Can you see this? Look at this. See right there, look at that. I bet you this is my problem. Oh yeah, look at that. I bet you that's the problem on this. Looking at that, that's cracked all the way around. Yep. I think that's where we're at on this. This is going to be connections. It's not going to be parts. It's going to be solder connections. These caps here, the back side of those caps. See, it's cracked all the way around. I think that's where our fault is going to be on this. That's what I'm going to concentrate on. Is I'm just going to go over this board, and anything that looks bad, I'm going to reflow it, and then we'll put it together and let it run and see whether it performs okay. And if so, then fingers crossed. That's all it is. See, these capacitors are what couple a transformer into the oscillator circuit. So if you got a connection that breaks on it, you'd have some arcing, and that would cause the set to go into an emergency shutdown, which is what was happening on the plasmas. If you follow these capacitors, they go right into, there's another one down here. They go right into the transformer, into the primary side of the transformer. This is the transformer here. That's one primary there, and the other one looks like both transformers are wired together in series, because there's one winding there, and then it goes into the other winding across there, and these capacitors are right in line with that transformer winding. So any connection failure there would cause arcing, and that would cause the set to shut down, which is exactly what was happening on those Samsung plasmas. So the more I look at this set, the more I'm convinced that this is where the problem is going to be. It's going to be in this power supply. Do the plugs here on the end, and then I'm going to just give it another once over, take a look at the board quickly, and then we'll try it out. I was just watching the news today, and somebody actually is counterfeiting Canadian $2 coins. Apparently they're coming out of China. Some guy in Montreal, Quebec, I guess it was Montreal or Quebec, somewhere in Quebec, had purchased some for 5 cents a piece. They're with a $2 face value. And, well, these counterfeiters didn't do a very good job. They gave the queen a big nose, for one, and the bear on the front, his toe is split. But there was a few other things that they also messed up on. Probably so that in China they can get away with calling it a replica, because it didn't say $2 on the front. It just had a dollar sign in place of the 2 for the $2 value. But most people would never really even notice that, because how often do you look at coins when you get coins and change? You know, if someone gives you a $100 bill, then yeah, you're going to scrutinize that, and you're going to look at it carefully to make sure it's not a fake. But if someone gives you a $2 coin, what are you going to look at, right? For example, this one's actually a ceremonial coin that I've got here. It's black, right? It's the outer ring normally is silver. This one is black. And this is because it's for Queen Elizabeth's passing last year. So this is the 2022. They released a small number of these ones, I guess, as collector coins. But the fake one, her nose is much bigger, and the date, which was 2012, is not straight. It's crooked. That's another thing. And there was a little Canadian flag put up here at the top. That's like a little mint mark. But on the back, what was significant, or on the front, I should say, on the tail side, what was significant is that a real Canadian dollar, it would say Canada, and then $2. And the fake says Canada, there's a dollar sign there, and it says Canada on the other side. That was the fake. But how many people would actually look at that and see it? People would just get it in their change, put it in their pocket, and not think anything of it. So that made the news today, because some guy got caught with, I think, 26,000 of them in his house. He had 26,000 fake $2 coins. And that's just what they caught him with. They're already out there in circulation. But they intercepted some coming in from China. And then when they followed the package to where it went, they executed a search warrant and found like $52,000 in fake coins in the guy's house. I thought that would be I thought that was kind of humorous. Who would think that someone would go to the trouble of striking a counterfeit coin? But apparently, well, someone has. So if you're getting Canadian $2 coins in your change, check it out. You might have a collector's item. It's worthless, but still, if I got one in my change, I'd be over the moon. That would be a collector's piece just to hang on, just because somebody actually went to the hassle of doing it. Okay, I've given the board another once over. It looks to be okay. I'm just going to make sure these screws are tight. Oh, that's really loose there. We'll just tighten down that screw. That's a grounding screw. That could have been part of the problem too. How about this one? That one's also loose. Okay. How about this one over here? It's also equally loose. So maybe we have some grounding screw problems as well. These aren't connected to anything, but I'll just make sure that they're... And of course these ones are tight. At least that one was. Alright, I think I'll put this back together now. And we'll try this out and see whether it's going to work. And that's about all I can do. I'm pretty sure that that's probably where the fault was on this. Was just loose solder connections on that board. Namely at those capacitors. Because they'll do it every time. They will shut everything down. Those tabs that picture wire were threaded through, they're actually attached to the power supply back here. So it looks like somebody did have that set hung from the wall using picture wire. But those the brackets there, they're actually attached right to the top of the chassis. So it's a good attachment place, I guess, to attach the set. Back cover can go back on now. Remember this was in, it was stuck in here like this. I guess it's time to hang the power supply. Now this one went around the back here, if I'm not mistaken. There was one wire that went around the back and came out the other side to plug into here. See, that's why they got these covers that come off so you can detach cabling. That's for the front controls, that one. Front buttons that go over there. We got these connectors that go over to the lamp drivers. There's one, complete with its tape to hold it in place. Shielded tape. The other one goes over here. And if I've got everything plugged in, the set should be ready to test. So I'll just put some of these other covers back in place. Oh, it's turning on. Big W. I've just got it plugged into a composite source right now from my color bar generator. I think that's on. There we go. This TV's got picture-in-picture on it. Probably just through the analog tuner. I'm sure it's just an analog tuner on this. But it has it has 2 component, 1 S video, 1 video, and 4 HDMI and DVI. So it checks all the boxes for inputs, that's for sure. It's not bad. The picture looks good. The color bars look fine on it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the back on it, and then we'll just let it run. Run it for the next day or so, make sure everything's good before I send it out of here. but I'm pretty confident after seeing those connections, especially on that box capacitor, that film capacitor, seeing those connections cracked like that, that's the classic symptom of the transformers. I've had 2 Samsung plasma sets in the past couple months that had exactly that fault. Connections crack on that caps and it kills the power supply. So I'm thinking probably that's where the fault was on this. It certainly didn't appear to be any bulged capacitors. There isn't any. They all look to be good. I didn't bother to check the ESR because, well, there's not really any point in checking that. I know some might argue the point, but for what I'm going to make on this TV, I'm not spending too much time on working on it. Just looking for the widescreen mode on here. This should be a widescreen mode on this remote control to stretch out the picture. Probably got to go through the menu. Oh, look at this. Video control. You got all these different controls. Oh, look, warm, natural, cool, cool. Wow, actually looks pretty good. Display, input label, screen size, standard, fill, overscan. There you go, fill the full screen. You can input the labels, whatever you want on here. Closed captions, tuner. I'm pretty sure it's not digital tuner. Audio input. Yeah, cool. Huh. User calibration. Huh. That's, yeah. Alright, I'm going to put the back on it and we'll do some more testing. One thing I also noticed is that the light down here, another panel that pops open, almost feels like it. Almost feels like that's a panel. The light is blue down here. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but the light's blue. When I turn it off, it goes orange and then it goes out. So the light's not on at all now. When I turn it on, it goes red or orange. The set's booting up. So maybe that's normal, why he said there was no lights at all. Because when it's off, there isn't any lights. It goes red as the set's booting up, and then it turns blue as the set is completely booted up. So that might be why he said there was no lights. The light didn't come on when he pushed the power button, and that would explain it if the power supply wasn't turning on. Standby is on now. It's obviously in standby because I can turn it back on with the remote, right? But there's no light at all here. It's completely out. And I turn it on, there's the red light. And then it'll go blue once it boots up. So that would make sense when he said there was no light, because there isn't any light when it's off. When he tried to turn it on, the set didn't come on. And now it's going to turn blue. There, you see? And then off, it's completely out. So that would make sense why it said there was no light, for those of you questioning why. The standby power supply is obviously still running because I can turn the set on with the remote, but there's no indication whatsoever that it has power. That comes on once the power supply turns on, and with that power supply not starting, we wouldn't have got the red light or the blue light. Put the set back together. I've got to lay it down on its face, remove the base, then I can put the back on it, put the screws in it, and then put the base back in. And of course reattach the speakers, as the speakers are in the back on this set. Put the power cable back under its little clip there. And worth noting is this set has a subwoofer. It's got the 2 speakers, one on either side here, and it's got a subwoofer in the back. That's why the 2 separate connectors One for the left and right, and one for the sub. So it's got its own connector for the sub and for the left and right output. Just like that. The back's quite heavy because it does have a good sized magnet on that subwoofer. So this set's probably got pretty good sound. Got VGA input on it as well. Wow, you know, it's actually, looking at this thing, it's actually not a bad monitor, you know, considering it's an old unit. See, these old ones tended to work forever though. That's the thing about these old units, is that they tended to go on forever. Well, I think the mystery of where this TV was made has been solved. It's right there. It's made in Mexico. The panel came from Taiwan, but as we saw, the boards in here are unlike any other boards I've ever seen. It didn't look like your typical Korean or Chinese made set. Westinghouse Digital Electronics, Santa Fe Springs, California, made in Mexico. So maybe they were making their own back then. I don't know what year this was. I'm going to say early 2000s, because it's pretty heavy, this set. But look at the power consumption. Input 100 to 240 volts AC, 6 amps. So it's going to draw 500 and some odd watts. At 100 volts, it would draw 600 watts, right? 120 volts, that's going to be what?
480 watts?
It's a bit of a power hog, kind of like the plasma TVs of the day, but hey, it still works. All right, back together. Moment of truth. Is it going to work? There we go. Okay.
Going on in a community.
Sound quality is actually pretty good for a TV like this. Check this out. There's a button on here you can adjust the backlight. You can turn the backlight down. Like that is pretty good. Gotta love these nut jobs. When they're told to stop, they just keep on walking and they wonder why they get tased. Uh-oh, this guy's gonna get tased. You know, it's like, he's gonna get tased. What an idiot. What an idiot. I think he just pulled a gun on the cop. He did. He just shot the cop. Unbelievable. This TV's got a great picture.
You do all sorts of things.
Like, I mean, it's got a really good picture. I'm looking at it here. I'm just kind of watching it, and I can show this because it's commercials. But this set has a really good picture. I mean, for a TV that's as old as this, it looks really good.
How can I help? Hi, I'd like a quote for your family life insurance, please. Okay. If you're
So yeah, I think we got this one. I'm going to let it run for a while before sending it out, but yeah, I think we got this one solved. It was a bad connection in the power supply. I'm pretty confident when I saw those cracked connections, that's where the problem was going to be. You know, I couldn't prove it because, of course, the set worked when it arrived. This isn't the first one that's done that. Just from transporting it around, it cleared the problem up, but it would have come back for sure. So I think that this one, I'm pretty confident it's going to be fixed, and hopefully the guy's going to pick it up. And he's not just going to abandon it with me, which is what tends to happen on a fair number of occasions where someone brings me something to repair it, and it's repaired, and then they just never come to collect it. And that happens too often, to tell you the truth. And then I end up, you know, literally giving them away, because a TV like this, if I were to try to sell it, I doubt that I'd even get 50 bucks for it, just because of the age of it, right? I'd give it away, but I wouldn't get any money for it. So it's you know, one of those situations where it's almost at the point where you almost want to, you know, not want to work on this stuff. And not too many people want to pay up front either. That's the problem, right? I mean, the guy gave me 50 bucks up front to take a look at it, but am I going to make any money on it, or is it a $50 repair? And that's what it boils down to. And normally a repair like this, for the time I spend on it, you know, I'd probably charge, you know, 100 bucks or so to fix it. But I'm sitting at that point now where, okay, I've been given a diagnostic fee. So is it going to make me any money, or it's going to go out there for 50 bucks? And if it gets abandoned, I'll end up giving the thing away. But I'll run it for a few days. I'll let the guy know I've got it and just want to test it a bit and see what he has to say, and hopefully he will come and collect it, because I got enough stuff around here that people haven't collected. Anyway, so I know you guys wanted to see, that's the cop that was shot. Just wanted to show you guys that because I figured you might be a little bit interested in knowing the outcome.
The incident is forever etched in Officer Quincy Smith's mind.
I didn't even see a weapon. I think he was actively trying to kill me. He shot at me 8 times. I think he was trying to eliminate me.
The gunman, Malcolm Orr, is arrested just hours after the shooting. Orr is convicted of attempted murder and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. He's sentenced to 35 years in prison.
Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.